Your new 3D printer can print anything. Anything. It arrived on Thursday. I had to sign for the package, but it wasn't a normal signature page for a delivery company. It also included several disclaimers. You hereby disclaim and hold harmless Printco from any and all damages caused by use of this device. That was a pretty broad disclaimer, I thought. But of course I wasn't going to let that stop me, not at this point. So I signed, took the box, and ran inside to play with my new toy. It only took an hour to set up, which was extraordinarily fast. Sitting in the corner on my small work desk, it hardly looked like the most revolutionary technology ever made, though it surely was. I plugged it into the wall and screwed on a heavy vial of UBS into the printing head. That's Universal Building Solution for the uninitiated. It can build anything, or so they say. The printer itself was a trivial piece of equipment, but UBS was Printco's masterpiece. Not one to delay, I picked my first object. A pencil. Printco already had a schematic for pencils, and so the machine popped one out in under 5 minutes. The UBS began as extruded pink goop and then solidified into perfect layers of a pencil, real wood and real pencil lead. When the printing was complete, I picked up the pencil carefully, not believing my eyes. But there it was, solid and real, a pencil from goop. I sharpened it in a sharpener, and it left behind wooden shavings. I wrote with it and it left graphite on the page. I broke it in half and it snapped like the dry wood it truly, miraculously, was. Once the pencil worked, my mind just went wild. I printed a miniature tin car, a complex steel jigsaw puzzle, a small Derringer pistol made of plastic, a tiny flamethrower, a tiny hand grenade, legal objects Printco had schematics for. I considered torrenting a full-size hand grenade but then thought better of it. But the tiny one worked. It blew up in my sink like a little firecracker. I was up printing inanimate objects until almost 4 a.m. That was when I tried something different. Anything was a broad term and I meant to test the boundaries. So I printed an apple. Printco did not recommend printing live organic material, foodstuffs included, so I needed to torrent an apple schematic. But when I finished downloading the schematic to the printer, it began to print, and the pink UBS coalesced into a perfectly ripe Gala apple. I wanted to eat it so badly. I cut it in half with a knife and it looked perfect, crisp and sweet. I googled other people's experiences with the Gala schematic and numerous users reported safely eating the delicious creation. So I compromised and took a nibble, and it was so good. It was the perfect apple. It was 5 a.m. now, and I wanted to know the limits of this incredible device. I decided to print a dog. Just a small dog, of course, nothing big, nothing dangerous. I scoured the torrent sites for a dog schematic and found nothing, just puppets and dolls. So I booted up the Printco learning algorithm and set up a Google search for the algorithm to scan using the search terms Bichon Frise. Then the algorithm went to work, searching through every conceivable picture and website about the Bichon Frise breed of dog until, after an hour, it completed its analysis with a cheerful ding. The sound woke me up and I looked groggily at the display screen. It bore a prompt which read print Bichon Frise, yes or no. Of course I thought print Bichon Frise. Print away. I pressed yes and the printer went to work. It began simply enough, the pink goop making a base layer in the general outline of a Bichon Frise. That layer formed into the basic structures of the dog, white fur exterior and the somewhat macabre, but seemingly accurate, interior. Slowly the printer built me a dog, layer by layer. There were the paws, and the tail, there was the body slowly taking shape, the perfect white fur. It was 7 a.m. now, the sun was up, and I was a zombie. The last thing I remember before falling asleep was the bottom half of the dog being completed, and the printer beginning on the upper half. I was awoken by a noise, a kind of wet gurgling, akin to the sound you might hear if you filled a condom with a mixture of Vaseline and grape jelly and then squeezed it all out really quickly. The sound persisted and got louder, nearer, right up to my ear. I opened my eyes and recoiled from the red-stained touch of an exposed eyeball, my chair tipping sideways and falling into the printer, which itself fell to the ground, spilling UBS all over the floor. Standing before me, from the middle down, was a perfect Bichon Frise. From the middle up it might also have been biologically perfect in every respect but one, it was inside out. Beginning at the neck, the Bichon Frise was just the underside of skin, exposed veins and arteries, 2 dangling eyeballs, a mouth stuffed with fur. It ran towards me, eager for the attention the breed is known to enjoy. In my terror I crawled backward, away from the abomination, my hands crab walking along the carpet until the fingers of my left hand touched something warm and wet. And pink. The UBS had spilled from the printer and spread in a pool on my carpet. Now it coated my fingers, and was changing them. The dog raced toward me still, aiming to lick at my face, as dogs will do. I kicked at it fiercely, terror and disgust gripping me in equal measure, and the monster whimpered wetly and walked away. But now I looked back at my left hand and saw that it was no longer a hand at all. It was fingers, 24 fingers, maybe more, protruding from a central mass at the end of my wrist, writhing in a horrific ball. I screamed.